Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the latest installment of the To The T podcast. John Brown, Bryce Voisin back with us again for another episode. Greatly appreciate your time, gentlemen. And before we get started, we're going to try to answer the age-old million-dollar question today. What we're really trying to find out, gentlemen, is can we get younger at our golf clubs while maintaining the tradition of the golf club and what has worked well in the past while trying new innovative ideas? So before we get started, though, John, Bryce, fill us in what's been going on with both of you in your world. And just tell us a little about what's been going on and where you've been.
Well, last week I spent the week in the Monterey Peninsula. I had the fortune of playing Pebble Beach and Spanish Bay and Spyglass in the longest running consecutive Pro-Am, 54 years. It was sponsored by TaylorMade, and really cool event. You play with a different pro each day. There's LPGA pros, there's Champions Tour pros, there's not web.com, I'm dating myself. Corn Ferry Tour players, and really neat event. Play with the pro each day, Pro-Am. Long day for those guys, playing in fivesomes. And ladies, that's a 5 to 6 hour round. 5 good, 6 probably closer to the norm. And but super fun, and really enjoyed it. And TaylorMade invited me out, and I couldn't have had a better time.
Bryce, can you compete with that?
I cannot compete with that. I have been in central Pennsylvania mainly, so I've been hitched to my desk for a few weeks, but got the PGA show coming up in January, so I'll be getting on the road a little bit in the springtime.
And rumor has it that's where you really shine, at the PGA show floor. I witnessed it firsthand. There's nothing like it.
Well, if you say so.
There's
Jordan.
Game 6 Jordan, John, and then there's Bryce on the showroom floor at PGA show.
Absolutely. I got to give a couple shout-outs, though. Max McCreevy, obviously a player who's played on some PGA Tour events, won the Pro-Am event, played great, really cool. The 3 pros I play with, Austin Grisher, finished second in the 2021 U.S. Amateur, hits the ball an absolute mile. Really, really fun to play with. Cameron Sisk had the lowest scoring average freshman year at Arizona State, lower than Phil, lower than John Rahm. Super nice guy. Played really well. And then the last one, and we always got to support our PGA professionals, the previous PGA Club Pro champion, Ben Poland, who obviously played in the PGA Championship last year. He's playing in 6 tour events, which you get entry in if you win the Club Pro Championship coming up here early 2025. So let's root for Ben Poland. What do you think? And
root for Ben.
And you know who else I got to give a shout out to? Sunday Red.
Tiger.
Sunday Red. They gave out 3 pieces of Sunday Red apparel, and I'll tell you what, that stuff's a little different. It's really nice. I really like it.
Gotcha. John, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So Ben Poland, he's playing 6 tour events, you said?
Yeah.
Plus his normal PGA section schedule, I would imagine?
Well, 6 tour events in the beginning. Well, they're sponsored tournaments. He'll be in 6. The first one he's going to be, so he's playing in the Sony. Interesting enough, I said, so where are you going to practice this winter, to get ready for the tour events? And he said, Wyoming. He's going to stay in Wyoming. He's going to hit on a simulator and then go play tour events.
Wow. I guess he's got a job to do. At the end of the day.
He does. He is a PGA professional.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So
great guy.
So when you play in a Pro-Am, do you really get to see the vast difference between a professional player and someone who's like yourself, who's an above-average golfer? Is it wildly different? Is it a different world? Or is it something like, I can compete, I know they're better? Or is it just like, is it black and white?
Like any shot you can compete on, but it's the consistency of the round. And by the time you're done, you're like, yep, can't compete. So that's pretty much how it goes. They're better putters. They're better chippers. They're better with their wedges, a lot better. Better iron players. They drive the ball better. They're more mentally tough. It's all of it.
It is, yep.
They're better athletes.
In your Pro-Am, John, at the beautiful course, did you hold your own? Did you embarrass yourself? Did you show up? How did you feel about your performance?
I held my own on number 6 at Pebble Beach. That was about it.
All right,
Par 5 up the hill.
So, gentlemen, I was scouring the internet, and I'm looking for ways, just ideas of ways to get younger, for lack of better terms, and also create new revenue streams at a golf club. And some of the things that I found that people seem to think are very innovative or great ideas, I just want to get your opinion as experts in the industry, whether or not you think they are good ideas or if you've had any experience with some of them in the past. All right, is that fair?
That's fair.
So before we go there, in broad strokes, John and Bryce, I asked at the top of the show, is it possible to get younger while maintaining the tradition that a golf club has? There's certain players, I'm sure you both found this to be true, at the golf club that just like things the way they've always been. But if you're not innovating, you're dying, some people would say. So before we really get started and get specific, is it possible to live in both worlds?
I think it's possible, and I think you probably have to for, 20% of the clubs out there that are private clubs. They need an active strategy of transitioning. And, I always hate the word younger, but it really is, true of clubs that have been around a while. There is this transition process, but it's just, new excitement, new energy, new ideas. I think that's important. And ultimately, you have to have a club with great conditions, and you have to be very welcoming.
Well, Bryce, you work in the technology space specifically, so that in and of itself is getting younger as we just innovate in life in general. So just what are some of the biggest pushbacks or apprehensions that you hear in your world from, let's just say, more traditional? I don't want to call everybody old, but older, more traditional golfers. As you educate them on what you do, do they find that it actually is beneficial, or are they just opposed to it because it's different?
Yeah, I think it's, kind of all over the map. I speak to a lot of golf professionals that are super open-minded and super willing to try new things. And then I speak to some that are more traditional in the way they think, and they kind of want to do things the way they've always done them. So it's a little bit, it just depends on who you talk to. But I will say I've been doing it for a while, and I will say that people I speak to are more open-minded today than they've ever been. And I think even some of those people who have kind of done things the way they've always done them, so to speak, are becoming more open-minded and realizing that things like AI and a lot of the technology out there can really benefit them.
Okay, fair enough. So here's just some of the top of the list, some of the top items on the top of the list that people say are great ways to do this. So the first one always comes back. It says offer affordable prices. First of all, what is affordable today? What does that even mean? And if it always comes down to price, are you kind of limiting yourself, because then people are sort of building loyalty to a certain rate that they're getting as opposed to a club? I'll start with you, John. So how important is price to attract a younger new golfer?
I think it's important. You need something that's a trigger to have them make the decision to join the club, and obviously a price discount can be that, but it's got to be done in a way where it's entry, and at some point that price converts to the standard pricing that all members are paying. You can't have this class system of pricing in a club. It creates resentment, and you just can't have two people with the same privileges who've been at a club for more than 6 months paying different rates. So to me, I think when you do price incentives, they've got to be entry in nature, and at some point they've got to convert over to your standard pricing. And I'd say the number one, to me, detriment of bringing in and making members enjoy and feel welcome to a club, and might sound a little bit, surprising, but I think it's the nature of tee time blocks and the notion that, Mr. Johnson's always had the 8 and the 810 and the 820, and he's always going to get that time. And, Mr. Edwards gets the 9, the 910, the 920, and, Mr. Phelps gets the 10, the 1010, the 1020, and these, members are the members that say we need to get, younger, we need to bring in new people. They sit on the board, they sit on the membership committee, but nobody better book their tee times on Saturday morning. And, that is probably the biggest disconnect I see, is that you hear, folks in key leadership positions that are members say, we want new members, but then they're not willing to give those members the same access. To me, if you're paying the same rate and you have the same privileges, you should have the same access to the tee sheet as anybody at the club, and there shouldn't be this caste system of tee time access.
Yeah, and John's obviously speaking more toward the private side of the membership side. I'm going to speak a little bit to the public golf course side. Almost every golf course I work with has periods of low demand where they can get creative with their pricing or their programs, their initiatives to try to drive in younger golfers who, maybe can't afford to pay their peak rate on weekend mornings. But it's important that I think, as we try to welcome in a younger generation or even new golfers, that we do make it affordable. And I think most of the golf courses out there have those periods of low demand where they can get creative. And I'm not, obviously we want to protect the periods of high demand, but those initiatives are important, and I would say probably 95% of golf courses out there, aren't filling their entire tee sheet, so they have the ability to do so.
95%, really?
Yeah, I mean, we work with very few golf courses that are full from open to close.
And even if you're full from open to close, there's opportunities to evaluate and make decisions and
For sure.
figure out how to optimize your business.
One of the things that a lot of clubs are trying is they're trying new social mixers. Now, I don't know if it's all just for young people or if everyone's invited, but like you guys, when I hear the word mixer, I think like back in the day, middle school dance, boys on one side, girls on one side, super awkward. The science teacher that you think is like very unassuming, all of a sudden dances to cha-cha slide. It's weird. So, how many of our clubs have tried these social mixers? Have we ever had them? Like Eagle Ridge probably kills something like that. But like, is that something that we're into, or we just think that's a bad idea?
I think it's kind of a bad idea personally, but if you can do like, member night out and it's like a whiskey tasting or wine tasting or beer tasting, you have some hors d'oeuvres and cheese and it feels more like an event, but you actively invite new members to attend, and maybe you could bring in 6, 8, 10 new members, to combine with some strategic people from the membership committee, just to hang out. I think that works. I think the idea that, hey, you signed up the last 90 days and we have this new member mixer, like that's dull. I don't think that's going to bring folks in.
Yeah, agree totally.
All right. So another one, of course, I know we do this at like Royal Manchester, for example, of course, hosting a tournament. So tournaments are kind of tried and true, I would say, though. They've been around forever. And is there a way to innovate, or is it just like, hey, you have a tournament, you're going to get member participation, but it may not be a way to draw new people in, or can that be effective?
Well, one, I think you got to price the tournament the right way. I think it's been misunderstood maybe how to price golf tournaments. I think the industry's always said, oh, it's a golf tournament, it's good, it's guaranteed revenue. But I think you still have to understand what your typical day looks like during the day part that the tournament is taking the golf course, and then you really need to price it at least 5% more than that, right? Because the tournament is work. I see some creative ideas with tournaments. One recently that I saw, which I thought was a really good idea, was on a very large putting green, they put a bunch of different bottles of wine and alcohol, and you paid $20 and you got 3 golf balls. And if you could roll the golf ball and hit the bottle, you got to keep the bottle. I thought that was kind of neat, unique. That was something to do at the turn as opposed to, who can putt a 50-footer closest to the hole. You know what I mean? It was something a little creative and unique. But I think there is a bit of a standard flow with golf tournaments in general.
Yeah, I definitely see operators getting creative in the tournaments they're offering, and I think that helps.
Can it alienate current members, though? Like if they're hoping that their course is open that day, if there's new people or...
There's always a balance.
Yeah, there's always a balance, but, obviously that tournament is open, most likely open to that member that can play. So I think... Sure, they can feel alienated, and it's something you have to balance. But
boy, I really don't want to bring this up, but recently, Bryce and I played in a tournament, and when you made the turn, you could kick a field goal, and I think there's a video of me almost hitting a window.
Yeah, we gotta.
Maybe we should put that into this.
When and where was this?
This was at Waynesboro Country Club in Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Oh my gosh!
Or Devon, Pennsylvania. And, it was a bit of an embarrassing attempt, would you say?
So he kicked this field goal, and the pro shop or the clubhouse is way off to the right, probably 40 yards to the right.
Oh, my.
And John proceeds to pretty much shank this field goal. It hits the golf shop glass window. Thank God it didn't break. But, it was pretty funny.
If you could straighten that thing out, that's pretty good length.
Well, first of all, it was more like 14 yards away because I didn't hit it that hard, but it was offline.
We'll let the video tell the tale.
The video will tell the tale.
All right, gentlemen, fill me in because I'm inexperienced with this. I've never actually experienced it. Pay per hole golf. Do we do that at any of our clubs?
I would classify that as one of the worst ideas that I've heard and seen implemented at a golf course. Bryce?
Yes, I agree. I think this is one of those, not to get too nerdy, but you got to appeal to what golfers want, and I'm not sure that golfers really adopt the idea that to pay by the hole.
I've never seen it work. It's an idea that people always bring to you that don't own golf courses. That's my opinion. I hate to be strong on it, but I think don't do it.
Is it so? we'll put it to bed, but is it literally what it sounds like? I want to play 3 holes today. Here's whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's $1.61.
How does that not make your whole tee sheet cattywampus?
It does. It's cattywampus. Good word. It's a nice idea. It's not how to optimize your tee sheet.
The idea is that you would only offer it after 3 o'clock or after 4 o'clock or whenever it would make sense.
If there's slow times.
In slow times, right? And I think if there was really strong demand for that, it might work. But from my perspective, I don't think that golfers that demand is there.
I don't know if I've been strong enough on my opinion. If you'd like to spend a ton of time on an idea and make minimal revenue, paper hole works.
Yeah. John, Bryce, how do we feel about sponsorships? Not only so every idiot with an Instagram thinks they're an influencer now. So have we ever went down that road? Have we thought about it? Even for a club specifically, if Jordan has 10,000 followers and he golfs at Royal Manchester, he's like, yo, I could really blow you up on social media. Is that something we even entertain? Or is that just that's too much in the other direction of trying to be cool and modern?
I would entertain it, but the person who would do it would have to be unique, and I would have to think, bring some both entertainment value and a following. The edgy kind of, I'm a YouTuber, that probably doesn't fit most of our facilities. But if there was more of a, someone that had a little bit more professional approach, I guess, to their social media and could present the course in a certain way, I would definitely consider it.
Yeah, I think it's all about the demographic, right? Is the person, the sponsor, is their following going to be interested in the content coming from a golf course? If the answer to that's yes, then it's definitely worth it. If the answer is no, then maybe not.
I tend to believe they're more interested. There's certain golfers that I follow on YouTube and Instagram, and I don't ever know what course they're at. They're really more concerned with promoting themselves, I think, most of the time. But it's certainly a new wave idea. What about?
But I would be interested in having DeChambeau hit wedges over my clubhouse.
Sure.
And see if he can make a hole in 18. What do you think? Would that be worth it?
You think
Bryson, what do you think?
You think he'll do it for a burger and a beer? You think he'll do it for? I don't know what he would cost. Golf Galaxy, big golf mega store. You like that or you don't like that?
Love it.
Bryce?
Same.
Have you been to the one local to us?
I have been.
Pretty awesome. Pretty
I go
impressive.
there for club repair, regripping and stuff.
Okay. Top Tracer.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Top Golf.
It's entertainment value more, but it's not bad.
I like it.
I've never done it.
It's expensive, but it's a strong lean positive overall for just getting people introduced to golf. I think there's a little bit more direct correlation in people at Golf Galaxy and folks on Top Tracer personally, but
Pop Stroke.
well, lean positive.
Positive. I think it's a bit overrated personally, but
Have you done it?
I have.
How'd you do?
I did okay, I think.
Putted like crap, huh?
I had 5 hole-in-ones. What do you think about
You had 5 hole-in-ones.
that? They're all
How big was the hole? 24 inches?
Yeah.
How many takes?
We don't need to talk about that. Foot golf.
No, negative.
We have it at our place.
We do, but it's not a positive for me.
I haven't seen foot golf really move the needle. I've worked with a multi-course operator in a market that has a lot of soccer players in their more municipal style course, and they've gotten it to work, but they're the only ones that I've seen.
Well, I mean, municipal's different. You're trying to do things for the entirety of the community.
Recreation.
As from a business standpoint, I don't see the correlation.
Yeah, I agree.
John, what is the best membership initiative or idea that has ever come about or been presented to you that's been executed that actually worked very well?
The best membership promotion that I've seen executed and work well. All right, I'll give you 2. You hear a lot about referral programs, and every private club tries to do a referral program. I think most of the time they don't perform. I think the best way to do a referral program is as soon as you sign a brand new member, okay, you give that member the opportunity to go out and invite up to 3, 4, make it 5. Come up with a number of people to come in and pay 50% of the dues for 3 months. If they convert and turn into full members, you give them all a discount for a year. If they don't, then at least you introduce the club to 3 of their friends, and you got that member who just joined using the club more with prospective members. So I always like member referral programs being very aggressive with a brand new member right out of the gate. You have a much higher rate of bringing in new members through brand new members than you do for members that have been there 10, 12, 14, 15 years. So that's member referral. And the best promotion by far I've ever run in the Northeast, we did it. We tied it towards Christmas. We called it a Christmas promotion. And what we would do is we would offer January, February, March dues for free, which obviously, it's very cold in the Northeast. But you place a value on that dues number, so call it $500 a month. That's $1,500 of value, right? And then you give them $1,000 to spend in the golf shop. And you call it a $2,500 promotion. You give them $1,000. The effective cost of the $2,500 promotion is $700, or the cost on the $1,000 that you gave them to spend in the golf shop. And it looks like a ton of value. The effective impact is about $700. And April 1, you have a full dues-paying member that's committed to 12 months of dues after April 1. And actually, what we did with that particular promotion is we required a 60-day reservation notice that you couldn't put in until after a 12-month paying commitment on the full dues, which would actually push the 60 days to May 1, June 1. So if you wanted to resign for the club, you'd have to resign effectively right at the beginning of the peak season. So it looked like a ton of value. It got people through the door. I think we might have sold like 39 memberships the 1 year we did it. And but the effective cost was minimal, and it was a big infusion of new members. And looks like a ton of value, but really it's the same no win or dues promotion that every club runs. It's just packaged differently, and you give some Christmas value. And that was the best by far.
Who thought of that?
Me.
Nice. No wonder you thought it. No, sounds awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Always enjoy it. Always enjoy your perspectives. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right. Thanks, Stuart. Appreciate it.